From ESPN, a longtime friend back here on the Rich Eisen Show, Mike Tirico. How are you, Mike?
Hi, Rich. How are you, bud?
Where does that one rank for you?
That's pretty high up there. I haven't sat down to make a full list, but it certainly would be up there. I thought it would be more ceremonial than it would be about competition, but especially after Kobe missed the first 5 shots. And it became, I think, extra special because the energy in the building before the game, even outside of Staples Center, it felt like that place felt for a conference finals or a finals game. And it dawned on me when I was outside doing a hit on SportsCenter, Laker fans have had nothing to celebrate over the last few years.
It's true.
The likelihood is they're not going to have anything to celebrate for the next few years. Mm-hmm. So this was their moment and their guy for this generation. And it all came together and turned into a night I don't think anyone in their wildest dreams would have seen happening.
And also, one thing that doesn't really get equated with Kobe Bryant would be the phrase warm and fuzzies, right,
yeah,
Mike?
Right.
And that is what we got on the way out the door, as opposed, and in addition to the Nike commercials where he's balling up all the hate and accepting
right.
it and all that. It really was something that I was pleased to see him walk off the stage in that manner.
Yeah,
Mike.
You're right, Rich. You know, we know Kobe's career timeline has included controversy along the way. He even spoke to us before the game about how he was disliked in opposing gyms, and he thrived on that. He enjoyed that. But the neat thing to see this year was the spin in that, and that when he went to different buildings, they honored him. There were many Kobe jerseys in the crowd. There were many ovations, and really warm standing ovations in places where they really didn't like Kobe Bryant over the years as he went out. And I think that best translated for me when we were talking to players, compiling all those different sound bites all season long, the players said Kobe was our Jordan. And you start thinking about the guys who were 27, 28, 29 in the league, they didn't see, when they were really ready to live the basketball dream, they didn't see the Michael Jordan winning those titles with the Bulls. You know, if any player who's in his early 20s, most of that stuff happened when they were 5 or 6 or 7. For them, Kobe was their Michael, and that got repeated over and over by a series of players, and I think that led to the outpouring from the other players and the outpouring from the other fans around the league.
And I was wondering this the other day, Mike, who's the guy in the league right now who's going to take up that mantle of accepting your hate and taking that approach to winning championships? Is there anybody?
I think LeBron does. I think that he knows that going into other buildings. Mm-hmm. But you also have in cities people who like their team but think LeBron's great. Now, over time here, how is that going to play out? If he wins a championship in Cleveland, I think that might change for some their long-term feelings about LeBron James. You know, I've said before, and it could be this June. I know Golden State's been great, but Cleveland certainly was not full strength last year in the finals and gave Golden State a really good series to 6 games. If Cleveland stays whole and plays their best basketball, like I think they're starting to do right now, and they win the title, I think if they win the title on June 19th, June 20th, construction of the LeBron James statue should begin.
That's true. But, I mean, don't you think part of him wants to be loved, right? I mean, he's playing a comedian. He's doing comedy and Trainwreck. He's making all these commercials. Kobe just, I don't think he really even, I mean, he may have wanted it, but he didn't put that on his sleeve at all.
I think over time. So what was Michael during his day? You know, Michael was hated by rivals and opponents, but then the Air Jordan and the movies and
Bugs
everything
Bunny,
else,
right?
It kind of became something where, especially for the second run of 3 titles, where it was this amazing global brand and someone who represented that in addition to be the best player in the game. So it kind of changed a little bit. And maybe over time that will evolve with LeBron. I think each guy has to be their own person, what's most comfortable with them. But at the same time, you have the specter of Jordan and the specter of Kobe very fresh in our minds. And so LeBron is seen through those prisms, plus he left Cleveland, the acrimony around the departure, it just turned some people the wrong way. I mean, look, it was fully in his right, and it was the right thing to do. He went to a team that was ready to contend for and win championships, and did. Now if he can come back home, make good on that, and it goes beyond the NBA, obviously it's the Browns and the Indians as well. If he can do that, then I think it would start to set the national narrative around LeBron James to a bit different story.
So you're in Oklahoma City, right? Is that where you are?
I'm bound for there shortly.
Okay, so you're going to do Mavericks Thunder tomorrow night, Game 1 on ESPN, right. 9:30 p.m. Eastern tip. Which outside of that one series intrigues you most, first round? NBA
the East series do, because I don't see the first 3 series in the West as competitive. I think Portland will give the Clippers a good series. Mm-hmm. I think Portland's guards, especially up there, it'll be a challenge for the perimeter defenders of the Clippers. But when you look at this Clippers team, it's one of the most intriguing teams to me in the postseason. It feels like it's a coronation to get to Golden State winning the West, Golden State playing San Antonio. Oklahoma City has so much kind of on the griddle here right now because we don't know where Durant's going to be next year. What's the playoff fit with Billy Donovan as the coach, Westbrook and Durant? The Clippers, when you watch a Clipper game, they bring in 9, 10 guys who can really be in a playoff rotation. Not many people can do that. So they keep putting more chips in. So I think if the 4 teams who have home court in the West get through this first round without too much stress, we're going to have as good a second round as we've ever had. In the East, there's not a ton of intrigue, candidly, in a bunch of those other series. Can somebody be taken to 6 or 7 games? You would anticipate Boston, Atlanta, not just by seed, but by the way those teams play, to be the best of the bunch. You have a lot of teams without deep playoff experience other than Cleveland. So it seems like the East doesn't have many stories to write as we go through the next couple of weeks.
ESPN's Mike Tirico, at Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, let's talk about your fall gig. You've got the Monday Night Football schedule. You'll be opening up, you personally, in D.C. with the Steelers and Washington. But the one that I mentioned to my audience moments ago that really leaps out to me, you are going to have a hell of a game Week 3 in that Superdome with the Falcons and the Saints based on the circumstances surrounding that game.
That was it will be the 10th anniversary of the Katrina game, and that sticks out for me. You talk about whatever the small highlights or memories that I'll take when I'm done with doing this. That will certainly be one. That night meant more than sports. That night cemented, for me, the good in what sports and what our profession's about, because it became about New Orleans, not the Saints. The sports team represented the community, the area, and it was the global, not just national, but global symbol that New Orleans was open for business again after a long 56 weeks post that hurricane. So to be back there 10 years later, the struggles that Steve Gleason, who blocked the punt after the first drive that Michael Vick and the Falcons led, Gleason's battle with ALS has been well documented, and people know about it. And Steve, he's just a miraculous, incredible person to his skill and strength. And there are a lot of the key people who are a part of it still around the Saints organization. So I think it'll be a really emotional night in so many different ways, but also a night to celebrate what that Saints team has done for that city in the decade since.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of reunion games, if you will. You've got Todd Bowles and the Jets going to Arizona, where obviously he coordinated the defense for Bruce Arians, and then you got Brock Osweiler's return. That's a nice, juicy one. Week 7.
The Brockweiler Bowl, right?
The Brockweiler
Bowl. As he gets to play the team he left. That's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out. It's so funny because you look at all the schedules and you see these things, and then you're reminded how quickly all these things change.
Yeah, sure.
You have no idea going. I think last year we ended up with a string of, I think the number was 10. I forget what the final number was. 10 or 11 weeks in a row where when we hit the 2-minute warning, it was a one-possession game, and the game was in doubt. And you go through seasons where you don't get 2 or 3 of those, and we had a spate of those. So you sit there and you parse over the schedule, but then you don't know when is your running back or your left tackle or your quarterback going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, and you have no idea how they're going to end up. But at least that's the joy of the NFL, as you know. for the next 4 months, we're planning and talking about these schedules and what this game could mean to the playoff picture. And there's no other sport you do that. And that's why every week is so valuable in the league. It's 1/16 of your schedule, and people get so excited by it, no matter when the schedule comes out or what comes out on the schedule.
Well, Mike, it's just a fresh reminder about how long we've been listening to you expertly call and just place into perspective in real time some big-time sporting events that we discussed, the Katrina game and the Kobe game. You did both. I mean, and it's truly amazing. I mean, you can put a list together. That Kobe game, and I have obviously different circumstances about what it means to a city. That was something else. I did not see that one coming. No. Even tuning into the fourth quarter when he had 37 with 3.5 to go, they're down damn near by double digits. Right. I mean, I didn't see that one coming at all, Mike.
Neither did I. Neither did Hubie Brown, who you heard on those calls.
That's
as
right.
well. And I thought Hubie put it in great perspective, because you go back, he came into the NBA as an assistant coach with Milwaukee in the early 70s, and when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson were with the Bucks. So he's seen a lot of it. I mean, he's seen more than 2/3 of the history of the league with his own eyes and been a part of it, calling it, coaching it. And he pointed out that when you make up the list of the greatest guards in the NBA, of course you have Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. Most people have them at the top there, and you have Jerry West, and people talk about Oscar, and you've got to find a place for Kobe Bryant in that group. 20 years, third all-time in scoring, the best scoring guard in the history of the league, the 5 titles, doing it with one of the flagship franchises of the league in the Lakers. At a place where when you're making that list, Jerry West and Magic Johnson are on the list of all-time great guards. They're also on the list of all-time great Lakers. How blessed one franchise has been, and to see a farewell party be set to throw, and he trumped every plan by having the game like he had. It's just a reminder of the theater that he has provided and the Lakers have provided over the years.
Including the Warriors setting the record we've been talking for 9 months about whether they might set. Oh, by the way, they beat the Bulls record then.
And you know what, Rich? It's funny because it all comes full circle. Kobe debuts in the fall of '96. The Bulls record gets set that prior summer, and that 20-year history mark comes in line with both. And I was interested to see the ratings. Usually things will rate higher on ESPN than ESPN2. It's just the nature of the people turn to ESPN first, then they'll check out what's on ESPN2. The ratings were very close to the same, and the peak audience for the Laker game was bigger than the peak audience ever was for the Warriors game. Let's forget the TV, the ratings. That's for the people who do that. Just in terms of interest, it shows you what the NBA has been about going back to David Stern and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird coming in the league. It's always the star and his team. It's Westbrook, Durant, and the Thunder. And the league made the decision to try to sell their best players. And that decision has really helped the NBA elevate to the celebrity culture, to the unique spot that it holds in sport. It doesn't mean the teams aren't good, and we all love Steph, and he's got that following now. But Kobe, 20 years, one team, brought people to the TV as much as a record did. And really, the Kobe game had no relevance at all. Not a drop.
Sure.
Both teams are out of the playoffs. So it shows you that the marketing mind of Stern and the rest of the league really paid off, and it's the reason that the NBA holds this unique niche and this unique place in sports and kind of in pop culture as well.
Have fun doing the playoffs, Mike. Thanks for joining.
I will, pal. Great talking to you. Say hi to the family.
You bet. Same to you.
Buddy.
That's at Mike Tirico on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.